Yes. My name is Eddie Transcendent. This is the TT Line soundtrack right here in Top Station. And first of all, I want to thank everybody who's watching our Facebook. We do appreciate your love, your support every week, and week in and week out. You watch, you share, and you definitely bring a lot of attention to something that we have going on here at Top Station, and we do appreciate it. I want to apologize to those who were asking about last week, or we were off last week. I was, as you all know, I'm involved with GBLN, and we had our annual Sunset Cruise. It was definitely a beautiful thing for all of those who went. We do appreciate you guys coming and enjoying the time with us. We had a really good time. Well, everybody had a good time. I was running around and working, but everybody had a good time, and that's what's important. So again, we apologize for not being here last week, but we're back here today. We have a great show for you today, and I really do hope that you guys enjoy it. If you're watching right now, or if you're watching later, please make sure that if you have any questions for me or for the guests, please make sure you put the questions right in the comments, and we'll answer those questions later on after the show is over. But yeah, no. So I'm definitely excited. I want to let most of you guys who follow me and who know everything that I have going on, I want to let you guys know that I'm super excited because today I registered for school, so I'm all set to go to school. Next semester is going to be insane, 5 classes. But I had to do it because I was told if I could do 5 classes for 3 semesters straight, I could graduate by next December, which is a beautiful thing, you know. So the sooner I can get done, the better. It's going to be a little overwhelming, but I'm going to do it. We're going to be doing that. We're going to do Top Station. We have some more shows coming for you next month. So please stay tuned and keep an eye out for that. We really do appreciate all the support and all the love you guys have been giving us. Today we have a great show, but before we even do that, I want to go ahead and just give a shout out to I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Danny V. He's not here with us today. He's doing his softball thing again today. So like I say every week, I hope he wins because we're winning here at Top Station. He's playing softball and he should be here. So he better be winning, otherwise I'm gonna be upset. And Gina's not here with us either. She's in Florida on vacation. So give a shout out to them. Hopefully they're doing well. They're having a good time. Can't wait to have you guys back. Definitely need you guys here at the station. And shout out to Pito too. I don't know if you guys know, but Pito is now part of the crew. Miguel Perez, he's our tech guy, because we know that I'm not tech at all. But he definitely comes in and he does all the techy stuff, so we do appreciate the support from Pito. So Pito, if you're watching, thank you for everything you do for us. We do appreciate it. And please make sure you share today's show. I'm super excited. Because today's show is a show that I've been waiting for a long time. I've been waiting for this show since before the show was even scheduled, because I had an idea and then somebody else said it to me, hey, you know, you should have this person come to your show. And I was like, oh, I don't know, you know. I was a little nervous because, you know, you tend to think, you know, people are really busy, they have a lot of stuff going on. I'm kind of a young guy who's kind of just starting off doing his thing, you know, with the podcast. Are people really going to gravitate? Are people really going to do certain things? And so it's almost like you're a little afraid, you're a little nervous. The respect kind of comes in. You have that respect for the people, so you know, the people have important things to have going on. They might not have time to do kind of other things, you know. But I still kind of, you know, after a couple of weeks, I got over all that nervousness, and I reached out to Rosa Correa and Rosa J Correa, and she instantly said yes, I'll be there. So without further ado, I want to introduce everybody to my guest for the evening, Rosa J Correa.
Gracias. I'm so happy to be here with you.
And I'm happy you're here with us too.
And let me tell you, I had no qualms or no hesitation to accept your invitation. Why? Because you're one of those young people that I admire, one of those people that I see a shining future for. And it's so important for us who are a little bit older, I say a little bit older, decades older than you, but to see that we're leaving our community in very good hands.
Yes.
But not only the hands that work, but the heart that cares.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for those nice words. That definitely means a lot to me, especially coming from you. Because I everything that I do from the heart. Not only this, but a lot of different things that I do in the community. As you already know, working in the community, a lot of that stuff that we do in the community is not paid for. You know, we kind of just go out there and we do it out of our own kindness. We don't expect anything back. We just want to give and hopefully influence others to give as well. You know, so coming from you, it definitely means a lot. So I do appreciate it. But how's your day going today?
Well, it's going pretty well, in spite of some family issues.
Yeah,
that we
no,
had.
of course.
And but God has been good.
Yes.
And I always thank God because that's another element of me that is important.
Yes.
I don't do anything outside of the realm of my faith because that's what really is at the core of everything.
Yes.
And that is what really centers me. So in spite of the storm, I know that the rain will cease and the sun will shine.
Yes.
And the peace will come.
Yes, that. I actually was talking about that on Facebook a couple of days ago. Kind of something similar to that, and just kind of saying, just in life in general, you know,
That's right.
you have to, in order for you to see the sunshine, you have to be able to get through the storm.
Exactly.
You know, just be patient, and the sun will come later. You know. Metaphorically speaking, and also in real life, you know, I mean, it's a little rainy outside.
I know it's been for days, and it seems it's gonna be for days.
Yeah, but it'll be sunny soon, and everybody will be happy again. You know, me personally, I don't mind it. I love the coolness that the rain brings. I love the heat, but I'm not a huge fan of a lot of heat. Me pongo como mal, me pongo como que ansioso. I don't know. I can't stand a lot of heat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta be cool. So I don't mind it. But anyway, whatever. It is what it is.
That's right.
Pero Rosa, of course, a lot of people who may be watching or listening to this podcast, I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, you know? As far as the things that you've done, some people may know some things that you've done, some people may know other things that you've done. But all in all, when people think of Rosa J. Correa, they think about something positive you've done, right? And although they might not have all the pieces of that puzzle together, the piece they have is always, most of the time, it will be a positive one, right? I mean, obviously, there's always going to be one person or otra that may have something to say, you know? But it is what it is, you know? But for the most part, I think that people who think of you think of something positive, you know? But what I want to do today, we talked about this off air, is I want to kind of talk a little bit about Rosa, just the regular person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you came from, growing up, the things that inspired you, the things you saw that changed your mind, that kind of inspired you to get to the fork in the road and go right instead of left, you know? Because I feel like growing up, there's a lot of forks. There's a lot of times where we stop and we have to make a decision. Are we going to do that? Or are we going to do this, you know? One of them might be bad, the other one might be good. Both may be good, but one may be better. I mean, whatever it is, you know?
That's right.
And so I kind of want to take this time to kind of tackle that a little bit and kind of show the audience and myself too a little bit about you. I mean, I read about you in the past couple of days. I read some articles and some things like that, you know? But a lot of the articles that I read, it were just kind of people asking you questions. You were just answering questions.
Okay.
I would rather you kind of just talk and just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
Well, where do I come from? And I thank God for the blessing of being born on the island of Puerto Rico.
Okay, so you were born in Puerto Rico.
Yes, I was born in Puerto Rico, came here in 1957.
Yes.
My father was already living here, and he had been going back and forth and settled in Bridgeport after being a migrant worker through the migrant stream from
Okay.
Florida all the way up to Buffalo. And then, very interestingly, my uncle, who lived here, o mi tío político, because he was married to my aunt. But
Okay,
you know,
okay,
our
okay.
culture
Yes.
is my uncle, and he will always be my
Yes.
uncle. By the way, his last name was Ismael. His name was Ismael Martí.
There you go.
So that's important.
Yes.
So he told my father, "Why don't you come to Bridgeport? He was working in construction. You can work here." Unfortunately, my father shortly thereafter had an accident and died as a result of that accident. And so my mother and my two sisters and I, my brother was in Puerto Rico. He stayed there, but my two sisters and I came with my mother.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important part of my life. Everybody says, what's the most important thing? What is the most important part? The most important part of my life was that time when my father died, and we felt a total loss.
Okay.
We had just arrived here from Puerto Rico. There was a priest that the first Puerto Rican ordained a priest here was Father Victor Torres Frias.
Yes.
And he took me under his wing. But I had the great fortune and blessing of having a very strong, courageous woman who was my mother.
Okay.
And she, kind of brushed off put aside her pain and suffering because of my father's untimely death and said, we're going to make it here. We're going to live here. So my mother used to babysit for almost so many families here. That's why we know everybody.
So how old were you when you came from Puerto Rico?
Am I going to tell you that I was 9 years old?
Okay.
And it was a very exciting time here in Bridgeport.
Yes.
And the short period of time that we have been here, the Ayalas, like Frankie Ayala's and parents were my father's good friend. Maria Perez, my mother's good friend. They were the Perez, ¿cómo se llama? Que toca el músico.
Okay.
Also was their families. They do many families, and we were at St. Mary's Church. And so we had a community.
Yes.
And not only a community of prayer, but a community of being driven to make our lives better. And I recall that just a few weeks before my father died, we got that apartment at Father Panic Village. Oh my God, we were so excited. We were going to have our own room, and this was so important.
Yes.
But no sooner had my father died than my mother had already made plans to move out. She says, this is only temporary. She saw that as a stepping stone to another apartment, to something else.
Yes.
And so that's why I say that was the most important period of my life, because my mother was always on the search for, en busca de, something better for us, her 3 daughters.
After your dad passed away,
After
or even before that?
Well, even before that, but it was camouflage. Because if you think back to the early 50s, the wife was kind of demure, kind of retiradita un poco, aunque mi mamá, in my house, you could see her presence no matter what.
Yeah.
But my father was definitely the one who was in charge.
Yes.
And so, although he nurtured my mother's involvement in the church, he was always pushing her, que no sabes inglés, pues aprende.
Yeah.
Que si no esto, no, vamos a ir a esto. And he was very involved in the church himself.
Okay.
So it was a unique time where that's when a plant needs to be nurtured. I don't know what it was. I think it's a bamboo tree that it takes 5 years for it to grow.
Okay.
And during that period of time, you have to be tilling the soil, taking care of, watering it, and then it grows. And that period of time was very important in the nurturing aspect because my mother was there. My grandmother was also a very energetic woman in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
I remember going with her to take care of the sick, to embalm those who had died. Not embalm them, but I remember even going to doing that. My grandmother was involved in politics.
Okay.
And so I remember that. I remember my aunt moving to the United States to find a better life. Women in my family.
I was going to say a lot of strong women in your family.
Both on my mother's side and on my father's side.
Okay.
So they really kind of gave me that sense of wanting to do more.
Yes.
And also, I think what I was left, the legacy that my father left me. I remember talking to him as a very, like I said, a 9-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And he's saying to me, take care of your mother and your sisters. I took that literally, that was my call. And she says, siempre ayuda a los demás. Always help other people.
Yes.
And I thank God for that because whatever I do is in memory of my father.
Yes. Yes. Now, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Well, I have 2 sisters, Anna, that everybody calls sidekick because she's older than me.
Yeah.
And then my youngest sister, Evelyn, who unfortunately died of cancer. That was really a very traumatic time of my life, having, losing a sister. And the pain is terrible, but not as bad as some of my cousins who have lost about 5 of their siblings.
So you were the oldest?
I was the oldest.
Okay.
And then my brother.
Okay.
He was older than me. Well, I was the oldest girl, my brother. And he came to live with us and after he got married and the kids. And so there are 4 of us.
Okay. Okay. So all 4 of you came down from Puerto Rico? I mean, meaning everybody was already born when you guys came from Puerto Rico?
Yes. Oh,
okay.
yes. we take that as great pride. Nosotros nacimos en la isla. You know, even with my other cousins, tú naciste aquí, yo nací en Puerto Rico. You know? That is kind of also the sense of pride that we have for our island. My mother was very poetic.
Okay.
And although she never went to formal school when she was a little girl, she was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
She used to cosechar café, ella hacía guantes, pantalones de hombre. My mother was really a business person in those days.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But, you know, when we came here, my mother gave her life to us. And we decided that then, you know, let's keep going and doing what is the right thing, which is helping other people, getting involved, going to school, doing things at the house, becoming involved.
Yes.
And ahí vamos.
So you came down, so you lived in Father Panic when you came down to, so hold on, so when you came to the United States from Puerto Rico, you came straight to Connecticut?
Yes.
Straight to Bridgeport?
Straight to Bridgeport to 695 East Main Street, and
Okay.
then I lived at Father Panic, Building 14, apartment 205, door 101.
Wow.
Ask me my name in a few minutes and I might forget, but I don't forget those two addresses. And we came also to the church at St. Mary's in Bridgeport, which is still there.
Yeah, on Pembroke.
But at that time, we were in the basement.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, that was an interesting time. That's how I got involved in a lot of initiatives in the Catholic Church. And I again praise the Lord for the person that was in my life, that was Victor Torres Frias, because he knew my father. He took me under his wing, and he said, tú tienes algo que dar, vamos a ver cómo trabajar. And he got me involved in Las Hijas de María. I was with the Children of Mary. He got me involved. And then as I grew older and got married myself, I was involved in politics. I was the I think I was the first woman to be the president of the parish council at St. Mary's.
Okay.
And that was an important role. And at one point in time in that history, and again, I'm going ahead many years, after I was already married with a child at that time. They were going to close the parish, and we protested. That was my first experience on the protest line, was when they were going to close St. Mary's. And there were several people who we band together, and the decision was reversed.
Okay.
And it was reversed because it's important. And I make this point it's so necessary for young people to know. I was the youngest in the group. The other ones were older and a little bit cohibido. They were like a little bit shy of confronting the hierarchy, the leadership. I was bold. You know how we are when you're young. You're bold. And that's not bad. But you also have to look for advice. And there was a man that I loved. Well, there were three men especially. Don Paco Díaz, Paco Flores, y Pedro Melendez.
Yes.
Those were, to me, the epitome of leadership. And they were very devout men in the church, along with, and I'll talk a little bit about Heriberto Crespo.
Okay.
And also, ¿cómo se llama este muchacho? El papá de Susi Ramos. And we, in a group of women, and we, Miño Ramos, and we rallied together, and I wasn't afraid to confront the hierarchy. But Don Paco said to me, Rosa, we have to have our ducks in order. And if we're gonna make statements, we better know that statement is true.
Yes.
So I started to do some research to follow his advice, and this is what young people need to do.
Of course.
And as much as we know our enthusiasm, our dynamism, our thoughts that nothing can stop us, that's how I felt at that time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a kid, I was already in my 20s, but I was young.
Yeah.
And in so doing, I began to investigate, and they were going to merge us with Holy Rosary Church. And I found out that Holy Rosary was a national church, and we were territorial. And by canon law, and I'm not going into that now because I can't remember all the details, we superseded them.
Okay.
If somebody was going to close, it was going to be them, not us.
Yes.
And I brought that information, and that information coupled with other things, including the fact that we took the bold step to have the ushers go down the aisle and not collect the money, so that we stopped the collection in the church.
Yes.
We also did something that was, I don't think it could be done now. Many things have changed in the church.
Of course.
But I stopped the priest, because I was the president of the parish council. I took my role as a leader,
Yeah.
and I did not allow him to make transfers or money. So you stop the money, you stop the flow, you got the right information, and we moved on. You know, you think about these, it's all documented.
Yes.
It was in the newspapers.
Yes.
We had La Procesión del Viernes Santo with placards, with black bands, you know, saying that you're not going to close the church. I came out of there bruised,
Yes.
very bruised, and ultimately had to leave that parish.
Oh wow.
But it's what you do that's important, and not what you do. But for me, you know what was important? I think what was important was that the people in the parish themselves said, no nos vamos de aquí. This is our church.
Yes.
And not only our church, that church had a legacy of people from all over, mayors, all kinds of political people, all kinds of leadership that came out of that church. And I went and I talked to some of them. Mira, tu sangre está aplastada en esas paredes. Your blood is on those walls. You have to work with us. And they were not Puerto Rican or Hispanic, but they shared in that.
Yes.
You have to find the commonality
Yes.
that brings you together.
Yes.
And so, you know, those experiences really prepared me to be involved in different things. And it was the church that guided me.
Yes.
And I never got angry or disappointed with the church. I am what I am, and what happens, happens. We move ahead. And one of the great experiences that I had as a young person was there was an encuentro, Catholic meeting of people
Yes.
in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and I was the keynote speaker. Can't even believe that now. I said, well, how did I? And I wrote the on evangelization, and I wrote the thing on evangelization with Father Torres' guidance, and Berta Ferreira, a Cuban friend of mine, who always was such a mentor,
Yes.
whose life in Cuba and then diaspora brought her to me and made me love Cuba as if it were my own country. And so those were very interesting, dynamic times in my youth.
Yes.
And so what I say to the young people is, sometimes people say, ay, los niños, los líderes del futuro. No, the youth are not the leaders of the future. The youth are leaders now, preparing themselves for greater leadership roles as they mature.
Yes. Definitely.
As they mature.
Definitely. And I think we're going to touch a little bit more on that later on. But I want to back up a little bit. I want to back up a little bit and bring you back to 9 years old again, right?
Okay.
I want to bring you back because I want to know. So did Rosa go to public schools?
Yes, I went to Franklin School,
Okay.
and we came in March, and in June I already spoke English. That's another lesson. People say, ay, que yo no puedo aprender inglés. Yes, you can. I was a child. And the teacher told my father at Franklin School, my God, I can't imagine. There were so many who came during that period of time, many of us. If you go back into the history of Bridgeport, you'll find many of us
Yes.
that were here during that period. Carmen Lopez, Alma Maya, Rosa Franco, you go down the line.
Yes.
Maria Valle, you go down the line. All those people were here.
Yes.
And it's like, and he said, how does she learn English and already? And he said, 2 reasons. When she comes home every night, I make her read. So I was reading at home at the table at
Yes.
East Main Street every single night with my dad.
Okay.
That was very important.
Yes.
But then he said something that always stayed with me. Es más averiguar. She wants to know everything. I wanted to know everything. Now, what were the kids saying?
Yes.
I was interested, and I didn't know. And so my father was un hombre sabio, was a wise man. And so he told me, so el averiguar tiene consecuencias. If you want to find out things, it has consequences.
Yes.
So I had such wonderful lessons, and like I was saying before, my mother used to write poetry and love letters to my father, and cantaba controversias, and that engendered in me a real love for my culture, for my identity as a Puerto Rican, and also most importantly for us as a family, because nothing in the world can take the place of your family.
Yes, that's well said. And I'm gonna have you hold that thought real quick. I gotta do a momentito. Yeah. Okay, so you went to public school. You were going to St. Mary's, and of course that all being at St. Mary's is what really kind of got you started as far as the leadership, right?
Yes.
But how were the times in Bridgeport at that time, as far as you know? I mean, that's a lot of positive stuff, right? But just the negative stuff, crime and things like that, and I mean, you were living in front of the panic, which
was wonderful. I can't tell you
Okay.
that it was bad. After many years that we were there, things deteriorated.
Yes.
When they were going to tear down the buildings. But you know what was important? If there was crime, if there were vandalism, drugs, and I grew up in the '60s, so I'm not going to say we were too goody two shoes. You know, everybody. You know, I never did drugs. I never smoked. You know, I have to say that because that's the truth.
Yes.
But the thing is that we didn't dwell on the negative. And there was always someone watching you, como Doña Luisa, that you would look out the window and see how you know, whether the clothes that you were putting on that line over there were sparkling white or not. And so you had that caring community. The church was a caring community.
Yes.
And the priest had a direct line to the mayor's office.
Okay.
At that time, it was Mayor Curran, I remember at that, before then. But he had Tedesco, I think it was, in those years. And so with that, you really, I really can't say that I saw a lot of crime. Yes, they were beaten. A young man was beaten, I remember that. But we didn't dwell on it. We just pick up ourselves and move on.
Yes. Yes.
That was kind of the modus operandi. Nos levantamos y seguimos. And we always had a prayerful resolution for something. And the fact was, when we were at St. Mary's at that time, Father Torres wanted us to have our own little church, and we moved to the corner of East Main and Pembroke Street, Aleria Guadalupe.
Okay.
It doesn't exist anymore, but we were on that corner.
Okay.
And what was amazing about that is the devotions, las novenas, the Thursday nights. We would go to a novena, and then the parents would go home and allow us to walk downtown because all the stores were open.
Yeah.
And the most fun was when the Christmas lights were on, and you would go to the store that sold peanuts, and you would save for that, or go to the place where they play games, and you save up for that during the week. So it was kind of a, I don't have bad memories. I really don't have bad memories. And I'm not saying that there weren't any
Yes.
bad things that happened, but we didn't dwell on it. And my mother would not allow us to feel pity for ourselves. Y no te puedes quedar ahí llorando, tienes que salir para adelante.
No, of course. Claro.
Tú sabes.
Well, did you witness or did you feel any peer pressure or any negativity from friends to maybe do bad things? Not necessarily crying, but de travesura que uno hace como niño.
Bueno, no como, tú sabes, con seguro, pues seguro que sí, pero tú sabes, y siempre había alguien velando me. I always felt there was somebody behind me. I don't know, my mother had friends all over the place, so Ana was the one that was more adventurous than me and would escape and go to dances and go to the park unsupervised and without notifying. But I wasn't that risk taker because also I had some health issues,
Okay.
really serious health issues that I had to address, and I couldn't be in certain places. My eyes, I couldn't see, no podía jugar pelota porque no veía la bola. I needed, instead of a baseball, I needed a basketball to play baseball. So, when you think in terms of all of that, there were As I got older, Willie Matos can attest to that, and the young lords. That was where I wanted to go at some point. Padre Torre caught me on East Main Street. There was a rally. As a matter of fact, Frank Borges has a picture where you see my little head. Well, Father Torres came walking down from the church and grabbed me by my ear. I'll never forget that. And walked me back. I said, come, I don't know how he found out, but it walked me back to the parish house, La Rectoria, and 540 Pembroke Street. I remember all those numbers. I should play them. But anyway, so, and called my mother. And he said, we got to get her doing something. She's just
You gotta get her busy.
So you guess what? I was assigned to the nuns, the convent, and I had to wash, clean, get my, so maybe really Matos, that's why I wasn't a young lord, because the Father Torres stopped me on my tracks. Yeah. But that was an interesting time.
Yes.
It was an interesting time, and I was younger than they were at that time. But, we look at that, and we say, that's why siempre los tiempos viejos eran mejor que ahora. Sí. The old time was better than what we're living now. But that doesn't mean that there weren't traumatic situations, family problems,
of course.
Spousal abuse in one way or another. There were robberies, and we know it. But we try to just walk a different path, if that was it. And you had to, because cogían mi mamá, mira, she used to say, I knew you would be Correa. My last name is Rosa Correa. You know what the word Correa means?
Of course.
Belt, yeah. Or whip, right? She said, yo sabía que te ibas a correr. She was always after me with una correa. Because I was always, doing something, not bad, but that could lead to bad things.
Yes.
And that's where young people have to understand. Sometimes the things are not bad, but unsupervised can give you. You were talking earlier about the fork in the road.
Yes.
And maybe that's what my parents and my family and my friends were trying to help us. And I'm not saying but my sister Anna, we never really got into any serious trouble or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because she was very attentive. And, young parents also have to be attentive, because the kids, and they need that love. They need that, holding. My mother, and this is sad, but, she worked because we had no other income, and she would take care of babies and clean houses and all kinds of things. And she wanted us to have the best, but we couldn't afford it.
Yes.
I know sometimes my mother de mí, no, cómetelo tú, que yo no tengo hambre.
No, of course. No, same here.
Yeah. So you remember those things.
Of course.
And sometimes as young parents, we have to do that too. So there are young parents out there, the child needs a special nurturing, because that tree is going to be a bamboo tree, it's going to grow.
Yes.
And you want it to be, as tall as it can be.
Definitely. And I just want to, on that note, I want to just take a few minutes out and just kind of give some shout outs to people who are watching on Facebook. Mm-hmm. To see some of the comments that we have. Alma Maya said, "Ay, Padre Torres."
Uh-huh.
She says, "Cheers." Janet Ortiz says, we love your boldness, Rosa.
Oh, y esos free boats. Yo iba a la casa de ellos a comer.
We have Rosa Yaniris Garcia. She gave a thumbs up. And we have a few people here who are watching. Shout out to Rosa Flores, Luz Morales, Regina, who's my niece, who should be here helping me, but she's in Florida on vacation.
Qué bueno.
I love her. Lisette Correa.
Esa es mi hija.
Okay, of course, Lisette, of course. Shout out to Lisette, thank you for watching her. We do appreciate the support. She supports a lot of the stuff that I do, so I do appreciate it. DMC, Edie Seda, that's what we were talking about earlier, that she kind of put me onto, the radio and everything. CT and Bays, amigo mío. Nairobi, Guma, she's a big fan of the show, watching from Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Digna Velo de Beato, shout outs. Roger, Fabio Masso, Albert, Wanda, Jorge Garcia.
Oh, ese es mi
I
sobrino.
think we know who that is.
Yeah, that's my sobrino. El hijo de-
And Phil Hall. Thank you all you guys for watching and sharing the show today. We do appreciate it. And of course, if you have any questions or comments for myself or Rosa, please put them here on Facebook, and we will answer them if we can. If not, we will answer them after the show. After the show is over, we'll answer them on Facebook. So obviously, so they may have been forced on the road for you and your sisters and your brother. But obviously, I think the presence of the community and of the adults really played a big part in making sure that you didn't go that way, which I think is very important for us to talk about, because I feel like that we don't have enough of that today. We don't have enough of the community really kind of looking out for each other. I feel like as I hear stories from then, it was more like, like I own this house, right? And so if I was going on vacation, I would tell my neighbor, "I'm going on vacation. Make sure look out." Well, in this day and age, it's more like, "Oh, he's on vacation. Let's go." You know what I mean? It's just the total opposite of what it once was. So I just think it's very important that you say that, and for us to kind of look at that and think about it, and for the youth who may be listening, to kind of take that into consideration when you talk about your kids and what they're doing within the community, because I think it's important for us to just kind of look out for ourselves and for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, we have to look out for our own kids, right? I mean, that's your job, that's your kid. But I think as adults, we can also kind of look out and see what's going on, and kind of, we might be able to save someone or to help a situation just by saying something, almost like the whole see something, say something thing,
That's
where
right.
if you see a kid doing something that he shouldn't be doing, I mean, maybe you don't want to confront him, but you might want to tell his mom or his dad, "Hey, listen, yo vi a tu hijo en la esquina allá, míralo porque estaba con otra y tal," whatever, and you may be able to stop something before it actually happens. So I guess it's more being proactive as opposed to acting after the fact, So
And I think that's important because, it's somebody, and I got married to a wonderful man, Eddie Correa, and everybody knows that he's just he has to be a saint to be married to me. That's what they say. But I don't think he did too badly either. So we make a good couple.
yes.
But our 3 kids, and we remember living on our street in Bridgeport, the neighbors. We tried to bring that sense of community to our neighbors.
Yes.
Our kids wouldn't dare do much anything because they knew that Jean was watching, that Barbara, our neighbors were
Yes.
watching. But you know what happens? I think that's also, even if you're an adult and you have children, the biggest room is the room for improvement. We always have to find ways of improving ourselves.
Of course.
And sometimes a person comes and tells you something about your kid, and you get your dander up, and you say,
Yeah.
"Mira que se me vino a hablar de." Sometimes it's good to listen,
Yes.
because I don't think people come with a bad intention of talking badly about your kid unless they come with an attitude or something.
Yes.
But I've had that experience in my life where they said, "Mira, dale un vistazo a Eddie."
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of my kids. I mean, I have wonderful children. Eddie is 51.
Yes.
Lisette is 48. Oh, I'm sorry, Lisette, I shouldn't say your age. My youngest son is 35 and
Okay.
lives in New York.
Yes.
And I should say New Jersey, and works in New York. So I'm blessed. And I have 5 grandkids. The youngest one is 5, Lucas, and Lucas was in Brazil this past, just came back a few days ago. Speaks English, Spanish, and Portuguese.
Wow. How old is he again?
6 years old.
Wow. Amazing.
But we have to listen. We cannot take, if we can't take advice now as older people, our kids won't either.
Exactly.
And sometimes we have to just listen. And I always say to parents, with all the due respect, when a teacher tells you something, pull your child. Don't get angry in front of the teacher. Pull your child to the side and then say to the teacher, like my mother used to say. My mother would not allow a teacher to hit us, and a teacher hit Ana with una paleta, and my mother was so angry because she never hit us that way.
Yeah.
Ella usaba la correa o la chancleta. But anyway, the fact was that she felt that it was an undue way, so she had me go with her.
Yes.
Because I was also the interpreter.
Okay.
Como yo aprendí inglés ligerito, yo era el intérprete de todo el mundo, me dice, te la llevas, pero mira, dale algo de comer cuando esté en el welfare allí 4 horas. O cuando esté por allá en esto o aquello. So I used to, but you know, it is so, so important to take the advice of other people. Even as I welcome advice. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken anymore,
Yeah.
but I welcome, and I welcome it sometimes from young people or younger than me. You know why? Because their perspective and their view is different than mine, and I maybe estoy errando, so I better listen.
Yes. No, I understand. I definitely.
Eso es importante.
No, and I'll piggyback on that just a little bit and just kind of say, you know, when it comes to adults, and I understand that, you know, anybody talks about your children, you get, you know, kind of, you know, and that may be okay, you know, because they are talking about your children, but just listen. But at the same time, always be very aware of who's around you, because if that specific child or any other child is around you when this is happening, and they see that attitude from you to that person, they gravitate towards acting the same way. Because I feel like a lot of young adults, they don't realize that they are heroes to their kids,
Mm-hmm.
and not because of anything they did, but just because they're their parent, their mom, their dad, and that's who the kid knows. And so they could be mom and dad who lives at home and doesn't work and doesn't do anything. They're still heroes to the kid, right? And so anything that the father or the mother does to the kid, that's the way I should act, and that's how mommy acts. She's my hero, you know. And so even if it gets to a point where you feel some type of way about the person who's saying something about your child, don't show it in front of your child, because then it gives them the okay to later on disrespect the same person if he or she says something to the child, you know. So and I think it just not only in that specific you know, in that specific frame as far as what happened, but just in any other kind of event, you know. You could be, you know, and I say this all the time, you could be in Walmart, you know, and you could be at the register, and perhaps the cashier, you know, screwed up, right? Maybe she screwed up, but once you disrespect that cashier in front of your kid, now to your kid, cashiers are people who you could disrespect.
That's right.
Because they're under you now.
That's
That's just how they feel, you know. Or even if you walk away in the car, you're like, I can see, it's estúpido, whatever. The kid hears that, now it's okay for him or her to say that about the cashier,
Mm-hmm.
and it just their perspective changes because they think that that's how you see things.
And you know, kids do model
Of course.
your behavior.
Of course.
And not only your words, but your behavior.
Yes.
I mean, you see kids with attitudes
Oh,
that
yeah.
sometimes leave me espantado. Yo decía, cuando yo era chiquita, yo hacía eso, mira, me cortaba la ¡Guau! Ahí venía la correa.
Yeah.
Pero I think that shows like this that you're doing, highlighting these positive thoughts, the work of many of our agencies in the community that are working towards that goal, the organizations, the Gen 2,
Jen now?
Gen Now.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, that group of young people,
Yes.
I've been very impressed with them
Yes.
since we had an event for LifeBridge.
Okay.
And I came Janet Ortiz works there.
Okay.
And I've been very impressed with them. They received one of the awards. And it's just their leadership style. They ponder. They just don't talk out of the side of their mouth. You know, when they open their mouth, they're going to say something important.
Yes.
And I think that's the type of modeling that we need for our kids in our community. And what's happening with Caribe League.
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing that you have children who would have been out in the streets, but certain adults, like John Torres and many others, have taken, and Ms. Ortega have taken this on, and they are working towards helping them.
Yes.
And then I have to tell you, and I'm probably going ahead of myself, but you know, with the Puerto Rico Relief Center that we had this past, we had it from October to November 1st to March 28th to help the people who were devastated by Hurricane Maria and King. And highlighting one of the people that did something for our kids was the Hispanic Chamber.
Yes.
Con Clodomiro Falcón,
Yes.
Rosa Franco, and their whole crew of their president and vice president. They planned a day in the midst of winter that we couldn't find a date because every time we had to postpone it, I think once or twice, to make life better for the kids. you know, these are the models
Yes.
that we have in this community. We have to be very proud.
Of course.
I mean, I go to national meetings and I sit there, right? And I talk about Bridgeport as if it was the hub of the world.
Yes.
Because the people that are here are people de corazón, people who came, people who care for other people, and most importantly, is they care because they know that they're not going anywhere. Esta es su casa. This is our casa. Aquí vivimos nosotros. Bueno, you know, we might go to Florida. Mira lo que hace Olga Leiva. Ella se va para Florida y están viajando qué sé yo cuántas horas para llegar acá. You know, Olga Leiva comes and backs and forth to Florida. And los amigos de Bridgeport se reúnen en Florida.
Yes.
Okay? So all these, because something happened here. And I think it goes back, and Alma Maya is a witness to this. Alma Maya, my sisters, and other people, with Father Torres. As a human being, we all have our faults, but Father Torres nurtured leadership. And he taught us to be active in the community, to take an active role, to learn about your culture without demeaning other cultures. Yo no soy mejor que tú.
Yes.
I mean, I'm involved with the National Museum of the American Latino. I'm on the board of Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino. And our thrust is for all Hispanics, inclusive, not exclusive. Why? Because this country could not be where it is, if it weren't for our involvement.
Yes.
And our, not only our involvement, but we made it grow to where it is.
Yes.
I mean, look into the history.
Yes.
Of that. So in Father Torres, there's a Father Torres in every community, whether it be New Britain, Middletown, whether it be Waterbury or Danbury or Stanford or Norwalk. In Fairfield, there is a Father Torres figure. There's someone there. Seek that person out. Or if that person calls you, respond. Because that's the other thing. Yo te llamé y tú no me respondiste.
Yeah.
Okay, I was called. You were called by name.
Yes. Yes.
So those are some of the reflections that I have to share.
At what point of your young life did you know that you wanted to do more in the community? I mean, obviously at a young age you were already in church, you were very involved, and you had great people who took you under the wings and who showed you, who kind of push around that system of just being good and doing good for your community. But when did you make up your mind and say, you know what, I want to do more?
I think I'm still making up my mind. What am I going to do next?
Well, did you go to school after high school?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I graduated from Sacred Heart University.
Okay, and what did you do there? What was your major at Sacred Heart?
In leadership.
Leadership.
Yes.
Okay, and so you went.
And media.
What high school did you go to?
I went to St. Cyril St. Methodius Commercial High School.
Okay.
And I worked since I was 13 years old. But my first jobs, so that you know,
Yeah.
my first jobs were cleaning also. I used to clean offices.
Okay. With
And
your mom or not?
on my own.
Okay.
I used to sell Avon.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
So in between that, and I didn't finish college until later after I got married.
Okay.
Because health issues,
Yeah.
family issues. But if you're gonna, that was my dream, and I still have a dream. I want a PhD. I really do. I mean, at my age, what am I saying? Está loca cosa.
So do you have a master's?
No, I don't have a master's.
Okay.
But I master a few things, and I hope that I can do that.
Yeah.
You know why? My vision was compromised. I had very, very bad, serious issues, surgeries, lengthy stays at hospitals for 6 months at a time at Yale. And most people don't even know that happened to me. I just wasn't around, and that's it. And then I'm also, I'm alive, thank God, after a bout with cancer. And so the thing is that you might not be able to do things in the rhythm that is done. You go to school, you graduate from 8th grade, you go to high school, you go to college, then you explore a little bit, and then you go get your master's or find a job. but not everybody's life is the same.
Yes.
And that's what we have to understand. My life was very compromised, and I had to work. That's not, that wasn't, it wasn't that I wanted to work and I had to work to help my mother.
It wasn't necessarily a choice.
A choice.
Yeah.
I had to work to put food on the table because my mother would not go on welfare. My mother wanted us to know the value and the ethic of the work.
Yes.
And so we worked. And every penny we collected, every, selling this, doing that. And so it wasn't, and then I got married young. Everybody says, te casaste tan. Thank God I caught him because I'm not going to give him up. My mother said, Eddie, pero es que Rosa es muy joven para que se case contigo. Y yo le dije, Mari, pero yo quiero a Eddie. And he's a good man, he really is. And he's been a terrific father, a great husband, and has enabled me. ¿Cuántos machistas hay por ahí que no dejan que las mujeres ni vayan a...
Yeah.
No, not my husband. Es como Janet y yo tenemos los mejores Eddies. I laugh with her all the time. We have the terrific Eddies.
Yes.
Because, they see what you have to offer and they don't want to stymie you. They want you to move forward.
Yes.
I've traveled the length and the width of this nation with when I worked for the Hispanic Apostolate, the Diocese of Bridgeport,
Yes.
traveling to Latin America and also to cities throughout the United States. With the National Museum of the American Latino, I was hopping on a plane here, going there, going to meetings in New York, going to meetings of different things, organizing and working with our fellow commissioners and members to further the work that had been put forth to us.
Yes.
And my husband never me puso obstáculo. Anyway, yo me iba a ir anyway. But I would never want to do that in that fashion.
But he definitely has always supported you.
Always supported me. Always supported me. He's been a little bit hesitant here and there when I aspire for political office. If I were to die tomorrow, I think my greatest desires have not been met. One, to conduct an orchestra, and I have 2 left feet, and I don't have a sound of music, but I would love to do that.
Yes.
And the other thing is that I would have loved to be an elected official.
Yes.
I think that's the greatest honor that that a person can have, is to be elected by the people, to serve them, to work with them.
But you did run.
I ran, yeah,
Yes,
and
yes.
then they ran me out. Because of my political affiliation.
Okay.
And which is okay. I'm not too happy with that political affiliation nowadays, because I think that the party has abandoned me.
Yes.
And I say me in the context of immigrants. I say me in the context of Puerto Rico being abandoned.
Yes.
And so I'm not happy. But it's not, I just don't change just like that.
Yeah.
But I make my voice heard.
Of course.
And so, I just feel very strongly that the community needs to see in itself value. And that's what I see lacking. We don't see ourselves as valuable people at times. Y eso se lo comunicamos a nuestra juventud. We have value. We have contributed to the greatness of this nation. I mean, go back into the history and you see what we have been able to the United States, it's, and I want to look it up because I don't want to say it without saying it properly, but for the National Museum of the American Latino, our mission is a place that will illuminate the American story for all. Illuminate the American story for all. Not only for us, but for others.
Yes.
And our contributions are that light that has been shining on this country. Y ahora la quieren apagar que porque son inmigrantes. No nos vamos a dejar. Because nosotros somos de este país. We are part of this nation.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
So, all these things kind of flow in me out, in and out. And I go to meetings sometimes, and I am on one of the boards that I've been on, and I'm talking, and some guy said I'm passionate, and I appreciate the word, but I know what he means. Es que esta mujer no se calla. It's not. because I seem to be saying the same thing over and over and
Yes.
over and over again. I resent certain words, and I think that we need to make sure that we are not described as minority. And people say, no, no. In the political context, the word minority is the inferior report, less than. I'm neither one of those. I'm not less than and I'm not inferior. So no me venga a poner un título que no me pertenece.
Así mismo es.
El título mío, so you want, what should I call you if I don't call you a minority? Call me by my name. My name is Rosa Julia. And so, you know, and so our young people need to have encouragement,
Yes.
but they need to also be taught. We need more seminars on history. I mean, we have awakened a giant with the Puerto Rican community since Maria hit us
Yes.
on September 30th, almost 9 months ago, and the island is still suffering from the devastation. But we have, and I hope we have, let me put it, I hope we have awakened a giant. How? Vote. We, the Puerto Ricans, have the right to vote.
Yes.
Register and vote. No seamos apáticos. We cannot be apathetic because then we'll be pathetic. And the situation is not only for us, but for those who are without the ability to have a voice for themselves.
Yes.
And so todos estos muchachitos jovencitos puertorriqueños, I think there's something they should call out Maya, but she knows the whole history about, I mean, how the registration, when do we register? Tenemos que votar en las elecciones in 2019, we have to vote in 2020. We have to support our community. Doesn't mean that you're going to go and vote for Puerto Rican just because you're Puerto Rican. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I believe in people voting for people who have the qualifications, the expertise, and the ability to carry out the job. But if you happen to be Puerto Rican, mejor todavía.
Así mismo es. Así
O
mismo es.
cubano, dominicano, lo que sea.
Well, you're so full of drive, and even now you're saying you're not done. Like, I'm not done.
No.
You know, I have more. What inspires you? What drives you? What is it? What's that fire that keeps burning that you just don't want to turn off?
Pues mira, yo creo que porque
Porque hay un fuego que está quemando y quemando y quemando y tú no lo quieres apagar y todo el mundo apágalo, y tú no.
And you've been there when they tried to put a hose on it.
Yeah,
You've been
no.
there. You've been there.
Yes.
But you know what? I think, and I don't think it's this. I don't get up every morning without, I can't kneel, but I sit in my chair.
Yeah.
And I start my day thanking God, praising God, and asking for God's guidance. And enkindle in me the fire of your love is one of my prayers. Enkindle in me the fire of your love. So I hope it's because of love
Yes.
that I'm motivated and energetic. Because God wants us to fulfill our lives.
Yes.
I was thinking about something the other day, and I said, you know, we're here for a reason.
Yes.
We really are. There's no question that there is a reason why we're here. And most importantly, we have something to offer. Everybody has something to offer. You know, I think of my friends in the different things that I've been involved with, and Danny comes to mind, and then Merle comes to mind, and I see other people, Luis, Karen Marhart, and I see their dedication, regardless of who they are. They, you know, of their ethnic or racial background. Adrian Well, I mean, what a dedicated individual. What motivates them? And if you ask them, it's because let the fire of your love kindle in my heart the fire of your love. And that's it. That's what drives people to do good things, regardless of nationality or ethnic group. And I have to say this because no matter where I am, publicly, I always say this. It's 801.
That's good.
The Puerto Rico Relief Center, remember we did the fundraiser.
Yes.
Who came through for us on Yom Kippur with $12,000 plus
Yes.
was Rabbi Prosman from B'nai Israel, who came through on the day of atonement and donated the money for the people of Puerto Rico, because the fire of love is enkindled in them. And it doesn't matter what nationality, it doesn't matter what group, that's what motivates us. But we have to be courageous. It takes courage to do that. Because, first of all, you can lose it
Yes.
very easily because it goes to our head. Cuando dice, mira, se le fue la cabeza. Mira, ya se cree que es mejor que... And so that's why every day I place myself for a certain amount of time in that chair. And I said it. And I gotta tell you this little anecdote about Lucas coming in, my grandson. And I was having coffee, and he goes, Mama, did you pray today? I go, what? And he pointed to the chair.
Yeah.
See, that was the most wonderful moment for me.
Yeah.
And every time I pray, I said, Lucas, I'm praying. I say to myself, Lucas, and it's not the prayer,
Yeah.
it's the silence. It's taking time to find out what it is that you want to do. And you know, sometimes you come out it's a barren world, it's a barren heart that you have. You don't know.
Yeah.
Porque uno nunca sabe. Pero you gotta keep going, and you gotta keep moving ahead, and you have to keep giving thanks for, and also that's the important. Nosotros somos muy agradecidos. We're giving people, damos mucho, pero agradecemos también. Y that's important. Y por eso es que los puertorriqueños sí se levantan. Los hispanos sí se levantan.
Yes.
Somos un pueblo agradecido.
Yes.
Tú no ves esos haciendo el peregrinaje para la Virgen de la Guadalupe. Tú ves a todos esos haciendo las devociones para el Cristo Negro. I mean, no importa que seas peruano, mexicano, español, de donde seas. Pero tú eres un pueblo agradecido. Y por eso Dios nos bendecirá y seguiremos adelante. Porque tenemos mucho que ofrecer. Este país es nuestro. Para el 2050 vamos a ser 30% de la población. By 2050, it is estimated that we're going to be 30% of the population of the United States.
Wow.
Piensa.
Yes.
Eso no se le da a nadie.
Yes.
You earn it. We've earned that. We earned whatever is coming to us because God has tested us in the fire. And we're ready to be molded into that beautiful gold ring.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I know it's getting a little late, but I just have a few questions that I've been thinking about the whole time we've been talking. And the first question that I've been thinking about, and it might throw you for a loop, right? Because it's not something that we talked about that we're going to talk about, you know. But you know, I've been seeing this for a long time, and people who are watching, who may be listening, who know you, know this for a fact. And you even alluded to it a little while ago when you said, Ana, she's like my psychic. These people think she's my psychic, right? So I want to ask you, and I guess I'm going to kind of put you on the spot a little bit, you know. And Ana is here for those of you who are watching. She is here.
I'm going to say, of course she's there.
But what does it mean to you to always have your sister by your side, always supporting you? It seems to me like she's not just there. It's almost like she helps you. She completes some of your sentences.
Ella es una leona.
She knows what's going on, you know. When you can't get the words out, she's there to say, this is what you're trying to say, you know. So she knows exactly what's going on, but she's more está un poquito más calladita aquí. I don't know how she is, you know, pero aquí está un poquito más calladita, you know. So what does it mean to you to always have your sister, you know, by your side at all times, you know, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a huge event, whether you guys are just hanging out, whatever it may be?
I think it means more than I can express at times.
Okay.
It means a couple of things. One, I think everybody needs someone. We all need someone.
Yes.
And like I said, my husband's a tremendous support, my daughter and my kids, my cousins. I have a cousin que adoro con toda mi alma, Nilda, y todos mis primos de los Martínez y toda esa gente que los adoro. Mi otro primo. But Ana knows my way of doing things, and she'll always give me that she critiques me. She doesn't, it's not criticism, she critiques me.
Yes.
She'll say, mira, que te extendiste demasiado, no creo que debiera haber hecho eso, pero qué estúpida fue esa cosa. You know, oh my God, that was a good thing you did. And so the affirmation And also, not only your strength, but your weaknesses, you need to know.
Yes.
And who better than your sister? Because I can blow her. I can tell her off too. You know, ay, no me venga con esa boba, tú sabes, don't come with that boba. I think I did fine or something like that. It's important.
Yeah.
It's important, but it's also modeling partnership and teamwork. We can't do things alone.
Of course.
I don't, whether it be your sister, your brother, your best friend, your husband, your wife, we need to do these things in teamwork. And I've been fortunate to have been with a campaign for human development many, many years ago, and Pat Spear will talk, he's one of those, it's on Facebook, and Jackie K. Williams, and we were involved in going to meetings, and all that, and it was also that ability to have someone tell you, give you advice, guide you, praise you. Okay, que te ayude a levantar when they beat you down and you're down in the dumps and you don't think you can raise your head. Mira, no te preocupes, you can do this. Levántate, sigue adelante. Those are the types of people that we need in our lives. And we must remember them also. Don't forget them. Because sometimes people give you so much. And I try not to forget people who've been great to me. And if I do, me lo dicen, no, gracias. I mean, for example, one person that I have not mentioned, but I always think of, and I have so much respect for her in so many different ways, and we don't think alike, but it's, but I love her, especially is former Judge Lopez.
Yes.
She's someone that has overcome many obstacles, many barriers, and has challenged a lot of us in different ways.
Yes.
And I like that. I might not agree, no, mija, no. Okay. But those are the types of people. And I happen to be fortunate that I have that in one person, my sister.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so it's been a great interview for me. I'm sure it's been for you as well. But I have a few questions that I ask all my guests, and they're kind of, a little off the wall. But this is the Atlanta soundtrack. I feel like this show, it's a soundtrack of wherever my guest is. So this is your soundtrack, And again, I want the viewers and people who know you to kind of know a little more about you that they may not know, So the next couple questions I'm going to ask you are just kind of random questions that I ask everyone, just so they can get to know Rosa a little more, And so my first question to you is, what's your favorite Latin song? A Latin song that you put in. It doesn't matter what's going on, how you're feeling. You put it on and you feel good.
Preciosa por Marc Anthony. Ay, Dios mío.
Yeah.
I mean, y también me encanta Bobby Capot, so tú sabes, piel canela. So I go from one extreme to the other.
Yes.
Y tú sabes, Bobby Capot was on television in Channel 9 in 1957. Aquí la gente, most people don't know that. So for the old timers, they know who Bobby Capot is.
And what's this is a two-part question. What's Rosa's favorite plate, dish, Latin dish? And wait, and who makes it?
Seguro, ajo con gandules by my husband.
That's it, pelado.
I could eat ajo con gandules todos los días.
Pero pelado, no.
Pelado, no, I don't need them. And my husband knows it. He says it. I'm on a diet now because I'm an imposed diet by the doctor. Ayer hice ajo con gandules y le damos un poquito así, un platito. Because a little bowl, he says, I'm cheating at it, but I love arroz con gandules. There's nothing I love more than arroz con gandules.
And your husband makes it the best.
Oh.
So he cooks.
He does, because he learned from my mother. Because he complained to my mother that she wasn't cooking well that day. And he came home, esta comida is not that good. My mother said, sí, está bien. The next day, when he came home, there was no food. She lived with us. And they had a beautiful relationship. ¿Cómo? ¿Qué pasa? I said, no, a ti no te gustó la comida, de ahora en adelante tú cocinas, from now on you cook.
Nice, beautiful.
So he still cooks for all of us, and we take pride in it. We call him el chef.
Do your husband and you go out to eat?
Sí.
So, and the last question is your favorite Latin restaurant?
No me pongas ahí.
Come on. Vamos.
Me gusta No, no, porque hay diferentes
Okay.
sazones.
Okay.
Me gusta que me gusta el, ¿cómo se llama eso? El mofongo de Rainbow.
Ajá.
El arroz con gandules.
Tú eres la segunda persona
Sí.
en este programa que me hizo lo mismo del mofongo.
El mofongo de
Sí.
me gusta el arroz con gandules de coquito, porque le echan mucho gandules. A mí el arroz con poquito gandules no me gusta. So the don't gonna go eat, I wanna make sure. Y
Yes.
me encanta la cagüeña, los pasteles. I don't know why, pero yo creo que me recuerdo cuando el papá de María los hacía ¿cómo se llamaba esto? Don Coto. I used to make Manny Coto's dad
Yes.
And his mother. Somehow I still taste it from when I used to buy them on East Main Street when I was a little girl. So their pasteles are awesome.
Beautiful. I'm going to take that one into consideration. The other two I know about already.
Uh-huh.
But I'm
I know la
have to look
cagüeña,
that way.
yeah.
Yes,
I love the family tradition and that.
Definitely.
They've been there for ages since. Imagínate que yo era marina.
Yes. Well, I'm going to have to go over there and check it out. I don't think I've ever eaten there.
Oh, I don't eat there. I take it out.
Well, I never bought food from there, period. So I think I'm going to have to go check it out.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, and they have a couple of other things that I like, pero ahora no los puedo comer, so estoy a dieta. The other thing is I have low sodium, and sometimes, you eat, and los puertorriqueños son un poquito saladitos, so I have to be careful.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Atlanta Soundtrack here on Top Station. As you guys already know, my mission here is to uplift and showcase Latinos in Connecticut who are doing great things for the community. But at the same time, I want to use that to inspire the youth and to show them that through hard work and a lot of patience, they can do anything that they want to do. We're coming towards the end of the show, and what I like to do at the end of the show is I like to get my guests advice to the youth, And so, but before I do that, I like to give my advice to the youth for today. And what I like to do is I like to get my advice from whatever story I hear from my guests, At this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give my advice for the youth for tonight here with Rosa J. Correa. And I think the biggest thing the biggest message I got from your story and from your youth that I get passed on to our youth is not really for the youth. It's really for the community, right? Because I feel like a lot of what you were saying was that the community was so involved in everything. Your mom, parents of your friends, Padre Torre, just a lot of adults, a lot of people in the community were involved in making sure that the youth came up in the right way, And if they saw you doing something wrong, they would have la oreja and they would let you know, And so I think that my advice today, although I like to have the advice be for the youth, I think that today is going to be more for those persons that are surrounding the youth, because I think that is very important for us to understand that we all can impact the kids' lives, even kids that are not our kids. And we could do that by just, watching out for other people's kids. Like I said earlier, being proactive. If you see things happening that you think need attention, then go ahead and give it the attention. And even if you run into those parents who we talked about earlier that feel like you can't talk to them about their kids because their kids are, whatever, and they're untouchable, even if you run into that problem, don't let that stop you from continuing to do that work. Because I think that we need it, I think that we need it, and by you being turned off by that, then you're not really helping the cause. So I think that today my advice is more for the community to really do our part in helping raise the kids, because I think that we can make a difference in that way. For whatever reason, some parents may not be involved. It may be because they don't want to, it may be because they're just too busy. Maybe they're working 2 and 3 jobs, which happens a lot in this day and age. And so I think that some of the other adults within the community could do their part to kind of help the youth come up. So I think that's what I got today out of your story, that I feel like a lot of who you become, who your sister become, and who the people in your surroundings became, people who you spoke about, Maria Valle, these people, I feel like it all came from the community, and it did come from mom and dad. And I think that's the biggest message that I got out of your story. I mean, of course, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about we talked about a lot, But I think that the biggest thing that I got out of this interview was that the community really played a big role into who you've become, and a lot of our leaders today in Bridgeport and in Connecticut have become. And so, what will be your advice for our youth?
Well, I think one thing I want the youth to really focus on the arts. Their talent, their creativity, They have so much stimulation that I think of Beethoven, and I think the greatest composers and authors, and I said they must be budding inside of these kids. Please consider that. Work into your life, reading time, work into your life, listening to music other than the one that you listen to. If you go to my house, you only hear classical music while I'm working,
Yes.
because it's soothing, it's relaxing, it's different. And sometimes I hear a tune, and mira, esa que era de español, and it gives me the opportunity to look it up and find out about it. That's important. So I want them, because there has to be these great authors. The Hemingways are in our community, and we think St. Clair, T.S. Eliot, all these are in our community, but these kids have to find it in themselves. And I just like to say, in conclusion, yes, be a dreamer, like the dreamers who are fighting for their situation here in the United States.
Yes.
But you know, they've gone beyond dreaming, they've gone into action. So have a dream, but be a true dreamer like these dreamers. Get that dream and make it a reality.
Yes.
Take action. And if you can't find a way by yourself, there's always someone there that can give you guidance. You know, toditas nosotras que estamos viejitas, somebody called me the other day, oh, she's like my grandmother, Kayla from Senator Blumenthal. She's such a lovely person. She said, tú eres como mi abuelita. Yo dije, oh my God, nobody has ever said that to me before. But yes, we are older. We are the abuelas. I have 5 grandchildren and 1 great-granddaughter. So look to these people whose advice is going to help. Because if nothing else, they have lived a very, very important part of their lives in this community. So they're not too far away from what you're feeling. They're not too far away from what you're feeling. So be a dreamer, but put that dream into action.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can't say anything better myself. Well, Rosa, gracias for coming here today. Yes, I really appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoyed the program. Please share it and tell your friends about what we have going on here at Top Station. If you're watching on YouTube, I forgot about YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching on YouTube. We do appreciate it. And this podcast will be available on www.topstation.com, topstationcc.com, and also on Apple Podcasts and Google Play. In a few days, I'll let you guys know so you guys can check it out over there as well. Again, Rosa, thank you. Ana, thank you for coming. I know you're kind of behind the scenes, but thank you so much for coming. We do appreciate it. And,
mira, y te voy a decir una cosa.
Yes.
No podemos olvidar personas que han trabajado en esta comunidad, like Pablo de Jesús Colón.
Yes.
And I was remiss in mentioning him, and I just want to make sure that we don't forget him, that we don't forget, ¿cuál es la primera presidenta del desfile puertorriqueño? Milly Maldonado. You know, there are people here that have given their lives for us, and we owe them respect.
Yes.
We might not agree with them, but yo le tengo un gran cariño, y yo veo que that's the work that needs to be recognized. Gente, y nosotros puertorriqueños, we're so proud of being Puerto Rican, but don't forget que los dominicanos, que los cubanos han sido nuestros partners, nuestros compañeros en la lucha, y eso es algo que se agradece con ellos y todos los demás grupos étnicos.
Y con eso terminamos.
Amén.
Gracias.